Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Deepu Vijay and I'm the Business Development Manager at E2 Networks. E2 Networks is an NVIDIA listed cloud service partner in India. Today we are presenting AI and robotics powered by GPUs. So it has been presented by Mr. Chris. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box in your Zoom control panel. I'll bring them up during the presentation and we will also have time for questions at the end. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over to the presenter. Our presenter today is Kristudas Anchuturathan, also known as Chris for short. He has been an entrepreneur and investor and a university rank holder and a computer science engineer by education. He has built large-scale systems for eBay, AT&T, Bell Labs, IBM, PayPal, and Infosys during his earlier days. He is currently involved with AI and robotics, a company based out of Singapore as a CIO. He loved deep science and technology and usually looks at startups in tech or healthcare space. He holds 2 patents and also has filed for more in the deep learning and AI space. So I'm handing over to Chris. So he'll be presenting his further.
Hey, thanks, Deepu, for the introduction. Hi, my name is Chris. So I'll be walking you through a presentation on AI and robotics. So just a few things, before we go to the presentation on how the presentation is structured. Yeah. So first of all, we will look at why there is a need of having a GPU unit, right? And then we will move on to AI and robotics and what all can be done in AI and robotics. So I will be walking you through a couple of things that I myself did, couple of things that we are doing in our existing company, and a few other implementations which are basically inspiring, right? So for doing all this, we need to have not only the algorithms in place, we need to see how things will actually work together. We need to have a very scalable infrastructure on which we can process a large amount of information and then proceed. So the first 3 slides would be why we actually need a GPU, right? So that is going to be a slightly technology oriented slide. And after that, we will start the interesting stuff, right? I mean, so we all like to see how AI and robotics can, go up to what level, right? And one fine thing before I go into that is India has always had a service mindset, right? So we have people who outsource projects. Not that it is wrong, but probably we can move up the ladder and take higher end work. Probably we can build product-based companies out of India. We can build strong R&D teams out of India. In fact, that is what we all should be looking at, because I believe Indians are fairly capable to reach that level, and with proper structuring, proper infrastructure, that can be built in place. So this is what I would say, and let us proceed. Proceed. So why would you need a GPU, right? So let me first of all try to give you a problem in our everyday life. Let us say that we want to filter water coming out of a tap. All right. We want to filter water coming out of a tap. We just connect one filter and the water keeps flowing, right? And the water gets filtered. So this is sequential processing, right? So whatever comes inside gets processed and the processed water comes outside. This is sequential processing, and this is a task for a CPU, right? But now if we want to speed up the processing, the function is the same. The filter that we are applying to the water is the same, right? So what we do is we increase the pipe, right? And we add so many such filters in parallel, and then we pass the water. So we will have much more volume of processed water coming out, and hence the processing will be much faster, right? So what we have done over here is that we have scaled up the number of filters. Yeah. So in GPU terms, what we are saying is that we have scaled up the number of cores. Once that is done, it would be very easy for the processing to happen and the volume of things to increase, right? But this would only be possible if the function is similar, right? Function is similar across the cores, and you are wanting to work on various data at the same point of time. So that is exactly what we are doing here. So the only thing that you need to remember right now is that CPU would be optimized for serial processing tasks, right? And GPU would be optimized for many parallel tasks. Anytime you are confused, just remember my example of a water filter, right? So the more water filters you have, the more water you can purify, something of that sort, right? Now let us look at it. This is what I mentioned. CPU has just a few multiple cores. GPU has hundreds of cores, and hence the processing is faster. Now, does this mean that every scenario would require a GPU? Probably not. You know, you would have sequential processing, which also would be required. That would take a CPU task. You would have parallel processing, which would be required, which would take a GPU task. And probably in most of the programs, for example, there are compilers. When you compile a C program, you can actually mark a subset of that to be executed on a CPU and a subset of that to be executed on a GPU, right? So you can actually split the processing and make your program much more efficient, much more faster, right? So this is just a few factors on the energy efficiency and processing. So for similar tasks, similar output, CPU is going to be consuming more amount of energy than a GPU. So if you want to save on the energy in a predefined parallel processing, then you can go for a GPU, right? So this is essentially what I wanted to give as a background. And now from here, let us go to the more interesting stuff, right? So I would actually run a video for you so that you can just have a look at it, and we will work our way from there. This is actually a representation of how a CPU would process a task and how a GPU would process a task. I have actually put a video from NVIDIA themselves. This is a just like I used a filter as an analogy, they are using paint as an analogy, right? So I will just run this quickly for you, and then we can go on to implementations, right? Just have a look. Are you guys able to hear?
No, Chris.
Okay, I don't know what is, just give me a minute.
Introduce you Leonardo, and he's going to paint a picture.
So is it clear now?
Yes.
CPU might do it as a series of discrete actions performed sequentially, one after the other. In 3, 2, 1. Let me speed it up.
So note that this is a sequential action of drawing a painting one spot at a time, right? Now we will see how a GPU would do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Leonardo 2.0. When we hit this trigger on this thing, 2,100 gallons of air goes through these accumulators, out these valves, into all 1,100 of these tubes, into in which the bottom of it is a paintball. Each of those paintballs will fly across 7 feet of space and in 80 milliseconds reach its target. Hopefully, when it's all said and done, it's going to paint the Mona Lisa.
GPU painting demonstration.
And 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, science class is now over. Thank you.
So just wanted to highlight, this is the same filter example which I used, right? So you would be having multiple filters and everything will pass through the filters at the same point of time. So this is the similar thing. At one instance, the painting got created, right? So if you have the data flow in place, and if you have your processing function in place, it is then very easy to apply it to a cloud of GPUs to actually get things done very fast. Just an example that I want you to keep in mind as we progress through the implementation, so that it will be very, very clear, right? All right. So I will move on to the first example, which is the example that we created. So we are doing a couple of things in self-driving cars, right? So we created a prototype model, and we are trying to make the car drive on its own, try to avoid obstacles, have voice control and stuff like that, right? So we are trying to do it in a lab over a small prototype model, and we are trying to use as many parameters as possible. We have a lot of sensors on the car. We have a monocular camera through which we are doing the processing of the environment, and we are doing a couple of image processing and neural network processing based on top of the camera. Now, all these terms apart, I just wanted to show you how it actually works, right? So we will just see how it actually works, and then we will come back to discussing you know, what all we can do with it. Yeah, so I'm just going to run this for you. So what you see in the center is what the car sees, right? And we actually had the car drive across a track. This is a prototype. So we did it in our office, and using this prototype, we are actually scaling to a real car now. Note that here we are keeping an obstacle, and the aim for the car is to stop before the obstacle, right? Now it is trying to avoid the obstacle. So now if we move the obstacle here and there, you can see that the car will try to avoid it. And apart from this, couple of voice controls for the car, just to make it look good, right?
Right.
And apart from this, we did a couple of things with the driverless car. Like, I mean, for example, we put a book. In a room, and we asked the car that go and read a book. You know, so I will just highlight that example as well. If you can look, we have a lot of sensors on the car that, you know, we have. So we are right now planning to move this whole setup into an actual car, because right now we are pretty much confident on what it can do.
Go and read a book.
So all automated deployment scaling, monitoring, and operations of application cloud containers. It is the most efficient open source way to include all essential elements required. Scalability options of the complete infrastructure.
Just want you to know that it may look very straightforward, but actually creating this had a lot of problems. You know, when you actually try your hand at doing something, at that time you will realize what all issues we have. You know, so it took a lot of effort to actually come to this stage wherein we have things which are processed on the chip here, as well as in the GPU cloud. So we have created AI algorithms which run on a GPU cloud, and hence are pretty much fast enough. We are trying to achieve real-time speed processing at the rate of roughly 30 frames per second, trying to sense your environment 360 degrees in real time. All this requires a huge amount of computation power, and we are trying to optimize our AI algorithms as much as possible so that we have almost real-time processing. Right, and these are just the first generation of robots that we are building. Down the line, we have got a different set of robots coming in. I will be actually showing you a couple of them. So what we are actually trying to do is we are so you must have heard of the company called as Boston Dynamics, right? So we are trying to see if we can replicate most of the functionalities right here in India, right? So we are trying to build everything out of India, right? So even the AI algorithms, even the infrastructure that we have, the robotic structures, the robots that we build, everything end to end, we are trying to be completely self-sufficient out of India, right? So that is the aim. Let me actually show you a small video over here. So this is a particular video with a different implementation that I did in my previous couple of stints which I had, right? So over here, the challenge is that I am going to train the source code, which is already out there in the open source world, and I am going to train on top of it, build a neural network and machine level algorithm, and I am going to just you know, if you want to create something, you have to program, right? You have to write a program and you have to run it, and then things will happen, right? But over here, the aim was to build a system in which I will just speak and things will happen. The program will happen automatically. I will speak and the AI will write the source code, right? So that is the aim over here. So just let me run this for you.
Hello, sir. I was thinking, you know, how.
So I'm just going to speed it up till the point.
So now.
So I'm just going to speed it up till the point. Since I have already briefed you on what it is going to do, I am going to speed it up to the point where it actually starts, right?
Automatically. Please check. Chris. So fine. So I'm going to design a web page. Give me an image of Chris. Great. So now it.
So if you say see, I mentioned give me an image of Chris, and it automatically created the code for that here. If you look on your right hand side, I am showing the code base there, right? So the code will be automatically created, the code will be automatically aligned, and the web page will be automatically created. So we have used supervised learning for here over a large set of code base, front-end code base to actually make this happen, right? So I'm going to run this for you so that you can see more demos happening. So the aim is I speak and the code automatically happens.
Automatically wrote the code for that. If you look at this, it automatically wrote the code. Now, as I drag, I can drag and drop it somewhere, right? So as I drag and drop it here and there, you can see that the code is being changed automatically, right? So it changes the code automatically, and now we are done. So now let's say that I have my image here. I want to have a logo. Give me a logo for Chris. Great. So I have the logo. I keep the logo, let's say somewhere here, right? Or let's say here, right? Fine. Now let's see. For a web page, we might need a menu. Great. So now I have something here. Let's say that I keep it somewhere here, or I can even try to change it from a horizontal to a vertical one, right? Or the code will be automatically generated. You can see on the left hand side, the code is automatically. Let's keep it like this. And you can actually change everything here. That's not a problem. But yeah, right. So let's keep it somewhere here. Right? Yeah. So this looks good. Now I would like to give more information about myself. So let's get a tab. Great. So it automatically created this, and if you see, I'm dragging and dropping, and since the image exceeds, it is automatically doing the resizing. I click on different components, it gives me different units. So now it looks fairly okay, and all this has been done in less than maybe 5 minutes, and I did not even write a single piece of code.
So I hope that this demo looked very convincing. So this was something that I did some time back, and over here we trained over a large amount of code base, and hence we are able to. This is a very old implementation. I have a much improved implementation after this. Yeah. So you can choose the styles. You can choose the color. You can say I want your web page in mostly red color as the highlight, and it will restyle it accordingly. Yeah, so all this can be done. I'm just showing you a demo of what all can be done with AI, so that it sparks your imagination, and probably you also might come up with something of your own, right? So it is very imperative that people start thinking of making something new, rather than just copying something from the US or Europe, right? So that is the whole aim of this, right? So now that we have seen this, let me move on to a different one. So I want to showcase a project that we are currently doing, right? So in this project, what we are doing is this is for a social cause, right? So there are many blind guys that we have, and we would like to give them an ability to see the world, right? So what we are doing is we are designing some specialized spectacles for them, which have a camera, and that camera can recognize its surroundings, and that will convey to the user what it sees, right? So this is something that we have designed as a social kind of project, right? And we are currently in user trials right now. But before that, I would want to show you a similar product that Google is doing, yeah, so that you will see what all can be done, and then we will proceed to what we are doing. So just I will run this for you so that you can have a look.
Independence. The dictionary defines it as the ability to live your life without being held or influenced by others.
It could also mean the ability to discover a whole new recipe. Chicken and pumpkin soup. Soup ingredients.
It could also mean submitting an assignment just before the deadline.
It could be sharing a laugh with a colleague here in the coffee.
Looks like Alex from finance. To step out for some fresh air and roam the streets without any worries. Looks like a body of water running through a grassy field.
Or just managing to catch that train during rush hour.
1541, Sprinter, Amsterdam Central, finally at home.
To be able to sort and read file letters.
Credit card statement, post box 289. To be able to pop quickly into my favorite local store. Mango chutney.
It is to know that when I get stuck, I have people to call on.
Hey, Isha, where are you? Hey there, there seems to be a roadblock here. Can you help me out? I can help you out. Do you want to use like a roadmap or something? Okay, wait, I'll share my location. All hands meeting. 203 meeting room.
203.
To be surrounded by great people and be surprised by their love.
Looks like a birthday cake with lit candles. To cook my favorite meal that my lovely family can't get enough of.
To push my physical limit. To move, to jump, to punch, to feel alive.
I wish you the happiest year.
To be me. To be Harham Susa.
To be me, to be Yesevians.
To be me, to be joy.
Introducing Envision Glasses, the new AI-powered smart glasses by Envision, empowering the blind and visually impaired to be more independent. Available for pre-order now.
Okay, now that you have seen that, so that is what Google is doing, right? But now let us move on to what we are doing. So we have something like this that we have already developed, right? So it fits in here. Google's glasses cost roughly 2 lakh rupees, right? But our glass is in the range of 8,000 to 10,000 rupees, right? So that itself is a huge margin, yeah. And over there, if you have seen, Google glasses require us to click a photo first and then it processes. But ours is real time, right? So whatever you see is translated instantly. So this requires a very high rate of processing, a very high rate of, because each image has to be processed, or we have to take a decision on what is there in front, how quickly you are moving, whether your acceleration is fast enough. All those parameters are actually being considered, right? So this is what we are doing, and I will just walk you through one small implementation real quick. So this is an implementation wherein this is an old implementation basically. So this will show you the different states that get triggered internally on the chip that we are building, which is inside the glass, right? And how it actually processes. So these are the different states that happen. So there is a trigger state on which this will get created. So I will just run this for you. So the use case is the blind person goes to the medical store with a prescription, and he is able to read the prescription and compare whether the medicine in his hand matches the prescription, right? So that is the use case. I'll just run this quickly for you.
Let me know what you want. Scanning of prescription started. Prescription captured. Please show the medicine. Please show the medicine. Scanning of drug label started. Shown medicine is there in the description.
So now the drug has been validated. It means that whatever medicine was shown is there in the prescription. So this is an old validation. Right now we are much more advanced, but just showing you what is possible, right? In the interest of time, I am going to skip this video and I am going to go to robotics directly. So this is the Boston Dynamics video which I was speaking about. So I am just going to run it for you real quick for you to see what US is doing right now, what the best company in the US is doing right now, and where are we with respect to that. So that was a video from Boston Dynamics, right? And now the next is something that we are doing in our lab. So I will just play it out for you. Okay. And coming to the last implementation, can we program an AI to replicate human emotion? So this is something which I did way back. So what we are doing is we are trying to make an AI replicate the way I act. You know, basically the way I move my face, the way I look, the way I smile, yeah, the way I talk. So I am trying to make an AI learn those, and I'm trying to make an AI act just like me, right? So that is the demo that I wanted to play for you. So this is the last demo for the day, and after this we will move into Q&A, right? So I'm just going to play it for you.
Okay, so for this particular session, we have a small character here, just like a focus. Right, so I am actually going to change my expression, and you can see how it learns from my expression. You can see that it is moving its mouth just like I am moving. Now I close my eyes, it also blinks its eyes. I close my right eye, it blinks it closes its right eye. Now I close my mouth.
So what we are doing over here is we are actually trying to capture how I act during the next 24 hours, and how I talk, how I make my face when I speak, and have an AI actually replicate that. So if I give the AI a new text to speak, it would actually try and speak just like me. Yeah, so in the interest of time, I may have to stop over here, but I see that you might have got the idea. And moving further, thanks a lot for listening to me. We will be moving to Q&A, and these are my coordinates. You can reach me via email or via my web at any period of time. So thanks a lot for listening, and I hope all of you have a very nice day. We shall move into Q&A. So Debu, if you want to start the Q&A.
Yes, Chris. Yeah. So we would like to take it forward to the Q&As. So we have received few questions from Shankar Das. From Shankar Das Gupta, we have received one question, Chris, that how compute on the cloud for a real-time application like driverless car would help. So if you can answer on that, it would be great.
Yeah, so what we are doing is we are building compute at two levels. One is the local processing, and one is the cloud processing. Whatever needs instant reaction will go to the local processing, and whatever needs predictive analysis will go to the cloud processing. So if we have some time to spare, we will go to the cloud. But if we want to make an instant decision, we will use the onboard processing. I hope that helps.
There is one more question from Shankar Das Gupta. That is, what kind of GPU processor is used in the spectacles for the visually challenged? Typically, the GPUs are power hungry, or the camera images are transported to the cloud for processing.
The architecture is a bit proprietary at this point of time, but we have a local processing on the specs infrastructure, as well as we have a cloud processing on the GPU. The architecture remains the same, just like the driverless car. If there is an instant need, the local system will be used. If there is a predictive need, then the GPU will be used.
Okay, I hope it answered. The next question again is, what GPU process do you recommend for local processing?
There are a lot of things out there. You have a TPU hardware, right? You have a TPU hardware which you can use. There are a couple of Corel implementations for TensorFlow which can be used. But having said so, the best possible optimization would be in software, according to me. Yeah, and if you can optimize your software, write your own algorithms, then probably you will be more efficient, and you can cut down the GPU utilization. That's
Okay.
a part of what we are doing, and our strategy includes that.
Okay. And there's one more question from Arish. Which is the best use case, cloud processing or buying a GPUs for training offline?
It depends on what you want to do. So I will have to look at your use case to actually, look at that, because there is no one size fits all answer for this. Yeah. So it is all particular to what you want to do.
Yeah, so I think Harish had answered you. Chris, can you make me the host so that we can run the polls with all the attendees?
Just a minute.
There's one more question. We can take it up after running the polls.
Yeah, Deepu?
Yeah. So now we'll run the polls so that all the attendees can answer.
Sure.
Yeah. So I request all the attendees to give an answer for the question. Do you prefer GPU server on premises or on cloud? Okay. We have one more. We have two more polls. This is the result of the first poll. Yeah, we have one more poll. So I request all the attendees to answer. We'll end it in another 10 seconds. This is the last poll. I request all the attendees to answer. Thank you. I'm ending the poll. We have a few more questions. Chris, I think you can answer.
Deepu, do you mind? I don't see the questions, so if you can just.
Yeah, I'll read it. I'll read it.
So, Chris, there's a question from Mr. Salim. Then, do you give GPU services on rent?
Oh, that would be a question for you, huh?
Yeah, it is a question for us. We can answer it offline.
Yeah.
We can answer it offline.
I see one question from Harish saying that can we train an AI in GPUs and then run it in CPU or ARM for low cost implementation? That is possible, but your inference time has to be as low as possible. So if your inference time, it depends on the number of objects you want to process actually. Yeah, so you can have some tricks to actually speed it up, but then it depends on your implementation completely.
Okay, I hope it answered. Upad, are there any other questions, because I'm not able to view it?
Yeah, so let me just go and check. Which is the best use case, cloud processing or buying GPUs for training offline? I think you can just process it in the cloud. What GPU processor do you recommend for the local processing? This would, all these are use case dependent. You know, if you want to optimize the cost, if you want to optimize the processing, the energy being used, it is completely use case specific. I think more or less I answered everything. Deepu,
sure, Chris, sure.
Yeah, if you see some questions which I need to, please let me know.
Yeah, sure. We can take it offline as well, so attendees can reach us. We'll be sharing a feedback form as well. So I request all the attendees to give us a valuable feedback so that we can improve ourselves in the future. And you know, so these are our offerings on GPUs. So to just give you a glance of what we do on GPUs, so we provide GPU V100, and these are offerings like, you know, the memory what we provide, the vCPU, RAM, and the SSD storage. So this is on the GPU V100 we'll be sharing with you, and these are and this offering of GPU Tesla T4. So I'd like to thank you all for attending our webinar. So we'll be conducting a series of webinar in the future as well. And we'll be letting you know in prior. So we have planned a series of webinars in the last week of every month. So we'll be sending you the invite, and thanks a lot. And thank you, Chris, for giving a valuable feedbacks on all the questions and also sharing your presentation. It was very beautiful and it was very pleasant. Thank you.
Sure, Deepu, and thanks for inviting me over. And thank you all for attending. I hope all of you have a very good day. You can connect with me at the coordinates which I mentioned for anything that might be required, right? I mean, so and I hope I was able to answer whatever you had asked for, and I hope this would inspire people to create actual robotics and AI companies out of India. You know, that is what we want, you know, happening, you know. So please go ahead and do that, make it happen. Yeah. So all the best to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We'll be ending it now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.